We're ready. Okay, so Mayor Spencer will lead us off here with some remarks. Then we will have Kathy Sanders with FEMA, and then Willie Nunn with FEMA. And then after that, Cynthia Cowell with SBA, and then we'll do questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so glad to stand here today with some of our national partners now, both FEMA and the Small Business Administration, as well as so many leaders from our community here to stand here expanding our efforts to help St. Louisans in this extreme time of need. As we all know, when the tornado struck our city, no city is equipped to deal with a natural disaster the size of this tornado here. We quickly pivoted and were able to address some of the immediate needs here, but as we've been calling for help from our larger partners, as we know, our state has been here with us, helping to expand our capabilities, and now with the help of FEMA and SBA, we have a great team that we know can even better assist our community. This is the next chapter. As I've said so many times before, it was really the community that really stepped up and helped us address the immediate needs. Thank you so much to those folks who've been on the ground. So many community organizations like the Urban League, For the Ville, For the Culture of St. Louis, Action St. Louis, the American Red Cross, the list goes on and on. These are the folks that really held our community together, and now with the help of our state and our federal partners here, we will be able to do so much more. Of course, I can't leave out our city staff who were on boots on the ground doing so much work cleaning up our communities and really driving the immediate response. I'm here today. We are here today to really introduce the community to, like I said, both FEMA and SBA. We are encouraging everyone who is impacted by this tornado, the tornado on May 16th, to apply for FEMA assistance. We know that hundreds and hundreds of you already have applied. If your home was destroyed, or if you have serious damage, or if it's not safe to live in your house because of their tornado, help is available. FEMA can assist both homeowners and renters. The fastest way to apply for FEMA is online, disasterassistance.gov. Disasterassistance.gov is the fastest way to get your application in. You can also call FEMA directly, 1-800-621-3362. When you apply, tell FEMA about the damage to your home. Provide your contact information and an address where you can get mail now. You'll also want to make sure that you're very clear that this relates to the May 16th tornado. That is very, very important because unfortunately Missouri has had lots of natural disasters, way more than our fair share for a state, and a very unusual number of national natural disasters here in the state of Missouri, so be very clear about that date. Here's what you can expect from FEMA in the days after you apply. FEMA will contact you. It is required that you get a home inspection. The home inspectors should be available within days of you applying. It is required for them to verify damage, so please work with them to do that work. If you have insurance, it is important and imperative that you tell FEMA about this and any needs that you had that are not covered by insurance. FEMA is not allowed to duplicate insurance. So you want to make sure that you're very clear about that. I just want to reiterate our gratitude to the state of Missouri. FEMA is here at the request of our state, and they are here to support our city at the request of the state of Missouri. We want to thank our governor and all of the federal partners for making this possible. SBA is a part of that ask. Thank you for being here. And again, that is really just a big part of the collaborative, coordinated approach here from the local, state, and federal side. I also want to announce that we are extremely grateful to our state legislature. Today, the House voted almost unanimously to support the city of St. Louis through two measures. One, $25 million that is available statewide to un- and underinsured related to disasters. The other is specific to St. Louis, $100 million of state aid is coming to St. Louis once it's signed by the governor, and we do anticipate Governor Kehoe to sign that, to aid our city because of this disaster. To all of our state partners, thank you. This is a big lift. This is a big help. We need it, and we're very grateful for it. One last thing on the local side, our Citizen Service Bureau has been an enormous help as we're logging the local complaints here. We've now made it easier for residents to be able to contact Citizen Service Bureau. You can now dial 311 and that will get you directly to our Citizen Service Bureau. So it made that step a little bit easier. I want to thank the CSB for helping to make that a little bit easier for everyone. Now I'd like to turn it over to Kathy Sanders and Willie Nunn from FEMA. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First, our thoughts to all those who are impacted by this most recent disaster. And I wanted to take a moment and recognize all the tremendous response and recovery efforts taken so far by the city and the state. And we look forward to continuing that partnership. We look forward to continuing to support the state and the city in the recovery efforts. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. William Nunn, because he is actually leading the response efforts for FEMA here in the field, and he's probably got more to say than I do. So, Willie.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was told to spell my name is W-I-L-L-I-E, last name Nunn, N-U-N-N. And it's a great opportunity for me to be here. Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership. Thank you to the state of Missouri for really getting the request in, and the request now has been granted as of Monday. And as the mayor said, I just have to reiterate as what the mayor's already said, is that remember, when you're calling in for individuals, remember a report that it was May 16th, those tornadoes, those severe weather, the flooding that happened on May 16th. Words matter. It'll affect what you are eligible for. So apply, because applying also helps us to know what you need. And that gives us a true picture to demonstrate back to the mayor, demonstrate back to the state, and demonstrate back to the FEMA enterprise, which is all here to support the locals. So disasterassistance.gov, please use that as a way to register. The FEMA app, also the number, as the mayor said, 1-800-621-3362, and that 3362 phonetically spells FEMA. So it's easy to do. And also, as we get further and further into this response, and as people call in, they're going to have questions. And so we're going to work with the local community along with the state to make sure we're in the right places, to set up places where they can come to get those questions answered in person. But we're also going to have a call center that's specifically for here. You know, we got a national call center that works, but we also, as we get the numbers here, we'll look at what we need to do to make sure we get down to the last mile of what we need to do to help folks. So again, sorry for your losses, and sorry for those who were affected by this storm. This state has 6 disasters. And those are only the disasters that the president declared, not the ones that didn't meet the threshold that you folks have been working through all of this time. So we're here to support that. It's always federally supported, state managed, and locally executed. And we're here to help support that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Willie. Now I'll get to some questions. Just for a little bit of clarity too, FEMA will have a presence within the community. We're working to set that up now, what that footprint will look like. This will phase in. The FEMA staff that are here today will increase dramatically over the coming days as we bring those forces in. What folks can look like and expect on the ground. Once you've applied, again, you are available. Could be eligible for relocation assistance, immediate assistance. The turnaround should be days, not months, for that assistance. And so we look forward to making sure that we get your applications. Please get them in as soon as possible. Be as clear and upfront and as honest as you can in the application, so we can get them processed as quickly as we can for you and get that assistance to you as quickly as possible. Now, I'd like to turn it over to the SBA. the U.S. Small Business Administration, Cynthia Cowell, to talk about what you can do for our community.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Cowell, CYNTHIA-COWELL. I'm a Public Information Officer for the Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. We have a business recovery center setting up this week on Cass Street at the community college in the communications building. And I will email all of you our press release as soon as it's available. We can help homeowners who have losses of up to $500,000, uninsured losses. That means you may be underinsured, uninsured, or even have a high deductible. We can help with that. These are loans, like I said, for homeowners up to $500,000, for homeowners and renters up to $100,000 to replace personal property, and that includes cars. For businesses, we can lend up to $2 million, both for physical damage to a business, its inventory, its fixtures, etc., but also for economic losses. A business may or may not have had any physical damage, but if they had to shut down for any amount of time because of these storms, that can really impact the bottom line. These are working capital loans to keep a business in business until things pick up again. Like I said, we will be opening a business recovery center. People in St. Louis City and County, as well as Scott County, can go to any SBA location, disaster location in the state to apply for SBA assistance. And we have several open for the earlier declaration for counties more south of here. And I anticipate that we will be opening a disaster recovery center in conjunction with FEMA and the state in the coming days. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them. Thank you.
One of the good things about the SBA, these loans are very low interest. There's considerations for credit scores. There's some accommodations there. So this isn't just any kind of lending. It's a very specific lending, specific to disasters, and there's a whole set of accommodations that come alongside of it. Before I turn it over to questions, I just want to point out we have SLDC here. We'll be announcing some specific business programs to help our small businesses. Our license collector is here as well, partnering with us. So many departments in our city government across the board have been partnering to make sure that we are doing everything we can to address the needs of our community. Of course, our comptroller and so many of our alderpersons. We're standing in front of the Disaster Assistance Center. This is, as I was inside earlier, there's a line, and not a long line, but we're really grateful to see so many people coming out and using this resource and really tapping into what we've been able to pull together as we continue to expand the resources here available at the DAC. Did anybody here want to offer a comment before we turn over to questions? All right, we'll take questions.
Mayor, it's taken how to access federal help, and we talked about how to access city help. Do we know how people can access that state money, the $100 million that the legislature is sending this way? How can people plug in?
The state money, as we've discussed, the governor we're looking to sign that. Once that becomes law, we'll work with the governor, and the Department of Public Safety is overseeing that to really develop the plan to get those funds here. There will be some matching components and some other things, but we're really going to work on making sure we do that. One thing that we talked about with FEMA when they got here this morning is that FEMA cannot duplicate programs that are already on the ground. We want to make sure that we're tapping in to those resources first before we start duplicating efforts. They're able to do some direct assistance to renters, giving folks the tools they may need to get into new housing. So we want to make sure before we deploy any additional funds that we're making sure we're not duplicating efforts, Mark.
Mayor, it's taken weeks to get to this point. Why did it take so long to get FEMA here?
I can't really speak to that. What I can say is that I'm very confident that we as a city and our state did everything we could to make sure that they're here. We're grateful that they are here, and they've been a great partner so far in educating us on what they can do, and we're looking forward to moving forward.
Mayor, you said earlier in the week that you wanted not just federal help in terms of dollars, but manpower as well. Is there any update on that?
Yeah. So, as we've been learning about the ways in which FEMA are going to be able to be here with us, there is going to be a significant manpower component to it. The outreach, the direct-to-consumer, the direct-to-resident approach of making sure the applications and kind of what we're doing here, we're working that out as we speak. I don't have a concise answer for you right now, but we do know that, as I mentioned earlier, the FEMA staff that are here right now are going to increase in number significantly over the coming days, and we'll be able to see what that presence looks like then.
Mr. Nunn, maybe a question for you. Yes. Beyond just accepting those applications and cutting checks for direct assistance, should the public expect to see any FEMA people helping stand up housing, shelter, anything physical beyond just the paperwork and application process?
What we do here, working with the state and with the locals, one, the shelters are already off and running. And if we need to support that, we work with the Red Cross and work with that. But what also came with this declaration is the public infrastructure, that we're gonna have people working with that as well. And so we'll have people out there working with the ownership, whether it be a sub-applicant with the city or a state applicant, we work with them. But I tell you, to get started with all of this, it's important to get to a housing or to whatever program we have, you have to register. We have to have folks register, tell their story so we can get their needs, so we don't haphazardly start a program that doesn't help the people that really need it.
On average, how long will it take for people to finally get the resources in their hands? I'm sorry to give you this one, but it depends. It depends on when they call in. It depends on what information they have. It depends on if they call back, if they have a question. And then also, we're going to reach back out to them too, to get in depth on what they need. So this is a back and forth and making sure that we reach people where they are. And we have an estimate about what's out there, but we don't know what's out there until the people tell us.
Mr. Nunn, are there any common mistakes that you see people making with their applications that maybe people should be aware of?
Yes, like the mayor said, your name. And on the phone, these are FEMA representatives, so your social security number. They're gonna ask that question. They're gonna ask if you want a refund, your banking. They're gonna want that to make sure that we can have a banking to route that refund to. But also, as this goes on, people are gonna find out things that they didn't really realize that they're eligible for, but they are. And so when they start getting letters back from us, FEMA, read the whole letter. Read that whole letter, because some people call them denial letters, but if you read it, you may need one thing to kickstart your personal recovery. And we can answer that when you call us.
How much money does FEMA on the phone asking for social security numbers and also receiving letters in the mail? Do you have any advice for people to try to prevent falling into some kind of scam or fraud?
And that's broad. I will only say this, because we have the mayor mentioned we're going to have home inspectors coming to your home. They should have an ID. Ask them for that ID. They're going to call you. They're going to call that homeowner before they approach that homeowner. But look for that ID. And also, if you got any questions, follow through your regional coordinator. The regional coordinator, they got us. We're going to back them up. Follow through with the state. Follow through with the locals. If it smells fishy, it may be fish. And so let's make sure we ask and try to answer the questions.
What is the FEMA budget for the St. Louis area?
Right now, sir, I have what I need to make sure I respond.
And a dollar amount, what would you say you guys are prepared to spend?
I'm prepared to spend whatever we need to spend. If people are eligible for it, I know how to go back to the system to get them what they need.
And you guys already have kind of an estimate. Can you talk about what that estimate is?
Oh, when I say estimate, it means that when the state and FEMA did joint preliminary damage assessment, they went out into the local communities and saw how many houses was destroyed. They saw how many houses were damaged. So that's the kind of estimate we have. But we don't have who was owners, who was renters, who were vacationing, who were Airbnb, who were all these things. All that has to be put back into a database and working with folks individually to make sure we get it right.
Are there any estimates about the percentage of local victims who are uninsured or underinsured?
I don't have the percentage on me, but we can work through the insurance, work through the state, work through the insurance folks. But that's things we have to work through as we go.
Some of the earlier estimates, there were pockets of folks up to 70% that were un or underinsured. And so that is really the population that FEMA is going to be able to really help. One of the questions earlier was how long people would expect. I think what we're kind of anticipating, it certainly depends on the volume that we're getting in the door, but it should be days rather than months, as I kind of pointed out. So we want to encourage people that to get applied, that it's not going to be a huge long, a months-long process. But again, it does depend on the volume here and what the need really looks like. And of course, as the director pointed out, making sure all the information is really in.
Do you have an updated damage estimate that this tornado caused?
We don't, and that's where, a part of what we're really encouraging folks to apply for FEMA so we can wrap our heads around the scope and the depth and the extent of the damage here. We've done our best with the tools that we have to really try to estimate that, but these FEMA applications will really allow us to fine-tune where we are as a broad community, where the individual damage really is. So that'll be coming.
We're hearing like 1.7 billion.
That's right. Something along those lines, Elliot. That's what we've been estimating.
Mr. Nunn, I almost hate to put you on the spot like this, but you're one of the very few people who could speak to this with knowledge of it. Just today, maybe you saw President Trump said he plans to phase FEMA out after the hurricane season this year. You've chosen this line of work for your career. What kind of effect does a message like that have on you and your staff?
Well, of course, oh, I'm sorry. Get over here. Of course, I would be untruthful if to tell you it doesn't affect staff. Yes, it affects staff, it affects morale, but I could also tell you we have people in FEMA that are working now that are here for the mission, helping people before, during, and after disasters. And also, it's uncertainty. But I also can tell you, anyone with a career, yes, I chose FEMA, but I had a career in the Air Force before. And guess what? That was uncertainty too. When I got out of college and went to my very first assignment, they told me they can kick me out if I didn't pass that course. And I was terrified. And so we're experiencing stuff like that right now in FEMA. However, we got good people who are out there on the ground that are here with me, the people that I'm going to bring in to help with that and work with the state and work with the great mayor. I think we're going to do good things.
Just to follow up on Mark's question, what would happen to communities like St. Louis if FEMA were faded out?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but I know this. This is what I do know. That early on, it was talked about eliminating FEMA totally. This hurricane season, we are operating along the same lines we did last hurricane season. Yes, FEMA will be looked at for efficiencies, how we can do things better, but that has yet to come out. But we are here today. We're here today to respond, to recover, transition to long-term recovery as best as we can.
Is FEMA having any issues making recommendations on Governor Kehoe's disaster request due to staffing and budget cuts?
Negative. Region 7 and the state of Missouri and the locals who support that, along with the federal agents like SBA, Red Cross, we get out and do those preliminary damage assessments really quick and write up those reports and then do that. So no, well, yes, it's always you do less with less, you get less with less, but we got hardworking people to do it.
I work closely with behavioral health response, and we've seen firsthand how urgently mental health support is needed across the community. Is the city open to continue or expand collaborations with DHR and local crisis response units? And what mental health infractions is being prioritized both now and moving forward?
The mental health toll is immeasurable. That's one of those things, we're working hard to figure out the building damage, but the trauma that our communities are experiencing and will continue to experience in the coming days, weeks, months, years is truly something we couldn't even begin to quantify. We are open to continuing that work. I think, to answer, I'll dovetail this into one of the questions I would have. It's hard for FEMA to answer the question, what would life look like without FEMA, because that's a difficult question to be asked in your shoes. I could tell you as a city, it would be devastating. We have exhausted ourselves, our city workforce, the nonprofit, the community organizations are exhausted because we've been holding this disaster here locally with the help of our state partners. And with that, and having FEMA here, being on the ground, being able to help with that direct assistance to residents, helping them get into short and long-term housing is truly so very needed. We would be devastated without it. This hopefully will allow us some bandwidth to focus on some of those other human needs as we move through grounding FEMA, the SBA, and our federal partners into this team approach. We can start to better figure out some of those other pieces. We've been triaging the immediate necessary issues that we've been triaging, and this will hopefully free up some bandwidth to start to have some of those other long-term wellness conversations in the coming days and weeks ahead.
This center obviously provides a lot of resources for people, but we know a lot of people lost access to vehicles.
Yes.
Could you talk about the long-term commitment to providing ways for people to get to whether it's a FEMA center, an SBA center?
Sure. So we do have some long-term commitments on making sure folks can continue to get access to resources. Uber has stepped up. We are in continuous evaluation on making sure that we still have funds available for those. We're discussing whether or not what the options look like, but it's imperative that to be successful at delivering the resources folks need, they have to be able to get to them. So we are committed to making sure that we have access to either the DAC or if we kind of mobilize in smaller units, whatever that looks like. We're very, very committed to making sure people have the transportation access to get to their resources.
Once again, you're telling people really to go online.
Go online or call, but the FEMA, you mean to register to come here or to register for FEMA? For FEMA, absolutely. I mean, that is just imperative. There is a timeline there. There are requirements that you get that application done. So we're just saying do it today, do it as soon as you can, make sure that you have the resources available, your name, your social security number, et cetera, and be ready to accept the call to have that housing unit inspected.
Sorry, yeah. This is redundant. You might have already alluded to this, but should the public expect to encounter a FEMA person here?
Yes. We're working on making sure that happens. And there are already applications available. We were inside earlier. People were filling them out, making sure that we're getting those resources in the hands of the folks who show up here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, 4293 Sanders Avenue, I was born and raised at the house. The bricks are still falling. The man that owned the church is complaining about the bricks on the lot. Mm-hmm. And my father's deceased. But we have a will, and I was saying, if you have the will and you lost the house of disaster, that we had the house for 56 years, could we still apply for FEMA?
If you have been impacted by the tornado in any way, shape, or form, please apply for FEMA. So yes, I think what FEMA can do for you will depend on those specific circumstances, but we are encouraging and really strongly encouraging everybody impacted to make sure that they apply for FEMA. Please do that. I'll wrap up. Any other questions? I know it's warm. We brought out some cold water, but does anybody have any one last question before?
Are you breathing a huge sigh of relief?
I will say one important thing here is we are not taking our foot off the gas. We are really grateful to have these additions to our team here, and this is certainly going to make our response more robust. We are not going to take a rest, and it's important that we don't. Our community has tremendous needs. We know that as the weight of this tornado bears down on our residents here, it is not going to get easier. As the temperatures rise, as weather continues to bring in rain and other things, there are continuing to be issues. So Elliot, I'm grateful, but I am not resting yet, and none of us are. None of us should be. So we're going to continue to do the work. We'll take your questions offline, but thank you all for coming out today. I want to really thank the coordinated approach of the entire legislative branch. The Board of Aldermen has, I've never seen this city so united on the elected side, the community side, the nonprofit, the corporate side. We know our community is hurting, and I'm just incredibly proud and honored to be a part of this very, very broad team working to meet the need that we have in our community right now.